Hello and welcome to B2B E-commerce Accelerated.
The B2B e-commerce podcast that helps B2B leaders move more efficiently and crush growth targets. My name is Ruben and I'm the CEO of EMEA and APAC at Sana Commerce, and I'm here together with my host.
Yes, thank you, Ruben. Tim van Hattem, EVP of Enterprise here at Sana Commerce.
We are very excited to have with us Dick Bos, a global commercial leader of Philips. So very excited to have you today. How did you end up in sales? Because most of the people that we know and also ourselves never thought as a child, okay, I go into sales. So how was this for you and how did you end up in sales?
But actually, my story is maybe a bit different than others. So when I was young, I actually wanted to be a fighter pilot. So I actually applied back then to be a fighter pilot, went through all the selections, but unfortunately didn't came through. So that meant that I had to look to another opportunity, another study. So and actually at that time, if I look to my grades, actually the only grade that was okay-ish, if you will, was the one that was related to business and economics. So that's why I did my bachelor on marketing, and during my studies, I actually did a lot of traveling, and I would love to be in a role where I could travel. And I thought, okay, I think the best way to do that is to become a salesperson. And as a true Dutchie, I think sales is always a global thing that you can do everywhere. So I thought that if I be a sales guy, I can travel and sell at the same time. So that's why I ended up in a sort of a export role. That was my first sales role, or first real sales role, really selling the products across the globe, and that was my first encounter with the professional sales.
And I don't think Philips needs much of an introduction on the one hand for our listeners. At the same time, I know that Philips has changed quite a bit. Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit where Philips stands right now and what kind of audience or target customers you have?
Yeah. So indeed, Philips changed quite a lot in the recent years. I think everybody still recognizes us for the consumer electronics like TVs, audio, some coffee machines and those kind of things, but also for lighting, where actually the history started 130 plus years. But all those solutions were actually all spinned off in the recent years, and actually the main I would say activity and strategy currently is really focused on healthcare. I would say 90% of what we currently do is really focusing on healthcare, providing the solutions for our healthcare customers like hospitals to do the right diagnosis, but also do the right treatment for the patient and to make the world healthier. So I work more for the function, enabling, let's say, the regions to be successful. And I'm part of the digital marketing e-commerce team globally that supports them in all the digital channels, but specifically the e-commerce channel is what I do and what's my remit to help them grow that and make them successful there.
What's the current state when it comes to e-commerce within Philips and for your customers?
6-7 years ago, we started with e-commerce for our healthcare customers. Mm-hmm. It's quite I think it counts for many B2B industries, but it's quite traditional, if you will. That also counts for healthcare even more. We are in a regulated environment where there's a lot of checks and balances that we need to adhere to. We actually acquired a lot of companies over the last 20 years that we now had integrated into what we call now the healthcare segment of Philips. But in those different acquisitions, we always had companies that we bought that had an e-commerce presence or a web store presence. And actually 6 or 7 years ago, we started to really bring it all together and also bring our customers much more a one Philips approach, or one customer approach, where they can actually buy whatever they want from Philips.
What is that? You say we have one customer approach, or one? Can you tell a little bit more? What is that Philips approach that you have?
So we do our Net Promoter Score measurements on different levels, and one of the levels is really on relationship. And if you see what's the main detractor there is the ease of doing business. Really, how easy is it to do business with Philips? So if they want to buy a product A and a product B, they had to to go to different systems. They had to buy in a different way, different approach. So that's what we said. Okay, we need to bring that together, and the best way to do that is actually digital, because that helps us to streamline our processes also in the back end.
6-7 years ago, decided to kind of bring that all together. So some people in the sales organization were potentially already used to having that additional channel. How are our sales teams within Philips? How are they perceiving the digital channel?
Each salesperson has a different view on it. Sales people in the organization, and I think that counts for many B2B organizations, where they see it as a threat. That's actually not the case for us. I mean, they still are getting the entitlement for their bonuses, etc. It's just that we want to make it easier. Really, that relationship NPS detractor, how to make it easier to do business.
Maybe going to the numbers there as well, right? Can you what are the results there? So you're saying it works well. How much business is now going through the digital platforms that you have?
Yeah, so it's around 10% of our total business in healthcare, and that's close to $1 billion in total.
How do you make sure that you can scale also on the e-commerce platform side, and how does that work when such a new business comes in? Do you bring them immediately over to your current e-commerce platforms, or do they still work with their own ones, or how is that going?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. I think the process is quite a lengthy process, because you not only have to look at your e-commerce platform.
Yeah.
Because before it can go to your e-commerce platform, you also need to look at how is the ERP or the backend system working. So we have quite a robust assessment that we do upfront, and then also quite a robust process how we onboard, and it goes step by step. For us, it's very important that first, so we keep everything running. Yeah? So if a acquired company has a web shop, we keep it as is. We take over the hosting and those kind of things to make sure that everything is according to our standards.
Yeah.
But the rest we keep going, and then actually we start first with the backend, making sure that the ERP backend is solid. The second step is really to look at our content management system, that they are completely in sync with our and the way of working into content management system, before we actually look at the digital touchpoints like a web store or like a website or like a portal, whatever we have. Because if you do it the other way around, you always get bitten twice or maybe 3 times. Because if you don't have
we fully agree
the basics in,
the
basic in place, it does work. Yeah. That's so that we actually take it. So sometimes it takes more than 2 years to actually get everything done. Yeah.
Previous episode we had Martin Evans on our show from Phil and Ted's, all the way from New Zealand, and he asked his question to you is, so how can we better bring along the salespeople, the sales teams on our digital journey? So how can we get those sales teams to even more embrace digital?
I think the most important thing is keep on informing and keep on educating them. I think that's one, and try to find those I would say tech savvy salespeople that actually, because it's all about technology, and we all know that the number of technologies rises in companies. The amount of tech stack that we are using compared to 5 years ago is enormous. And how do you make sure that those salespeople, who normally are quite, I would say, also traditional in how they do their work, how do you get them along into using those solutions, right? And I think that's actually something which you need to find those ambassadors, those tech savvy teams, and bring a sort of a community alive that can actually help. Because I think, and that's my honest belief, is if you have a salesperson telling to another salesperson how to use it, that's much stronger than anybody else telling the story. You need to have those people talking to it themselves and saying, "Hey guys, this actually works."
And what question would you like us to ask our next guest on your behalf?
Well, I would keep it a bit in the same direction as the question was asked to me, which was more on the technical side. But I would actually want, one of my passions is also to look at the new technology that is happening right now, which is artificial intelligence, AI. So that would be my question. How can AI help the salesperson of the future?
All right,
Cool.
thanks. We'll definitely ask it.
Well, let's listen to the next episode then, Dick, because that's a great question, I think. Thanks for that. And we come to an end of this episode. So first of all, big thanks to you, Dick, for joining us as Global Commercial Leader at Philips. I think it was great to hear your stories, a lot of insights for us, for B2B sales leaders. Yeah, and thanks to all the listeners as well for listening in to this B2B e-commerce accelerated podcast series. So Dick, thanks for having for having you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Exactly, and see you next time. And thanks, Tim. See you next round.